Welcome to this IELTS Listening Practice Test, brought to you by Spinta, your partner in English exam success. This test simulates the real IELTS listening experience with authentic question types, timing, and difficulty levels you'll encounter on exam day. You'll hear the audio only once, just like in the actual test, so stay focused and keep your pencil ready. Remember to read the questions carefully during the preparation time and transfer your answers accurately. This practice will help you build confidence, improve your listening skills, and familiarize yourself with the IELTS format.
Part 1. Now look at Part 1. You will hear a man calling a carpet cleaning company to make a booking. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good morning, Clean Carpets. Chloe speaking. How can I help you today?
Hello. I'd like to get a quote for a carpet clean, please.
Of course. Can I start by taking your surname?
Yes, it's Harrison.
Could you spell that for me?
Sure. It's Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Now, to give you an accurate quote, I need a few details. What is the carpet made of?
It's 100% wool, I believe.
Okay, wool carpets need a special treatment. And is there a particular problem, like a stain?
Yes, I'm afraid my son spilt a large cup of coffee on it yesterday.
A coffee stain. Right. And which room is it in?
It's our main living room.
Okay. For a single living room with a specific stain treatment on a wool carpet, the price would be £65.
65 pounds. That sounds okay. What does that include?
That includes the full deep clean. And you'll be pleased to know we only use eco-friendly chemicals that are safe for pets and children.
That's good to hear. And what about the furniture in the room?
Our technician will move any light furniture. For heavy items like sofas, we clean around them and place a sheet of plastic under the legs to protect them.
Plastic to protect them. Good. How long does the process take?
For a single room, it's usually around 90 minutes from start to finish.
90 minutes. And how long until the carpet is dry enough to walk on?
It will be slightly damp for a while, but it should be completely dry within about 4 hours, as long as the room is well ventilated.
4 hours. Okay. When's your earliest appointment?
Let me see. We could fit you in this Thursday morning at 10 a.m.
Thursday at 10. That's perfect. I'll take it.
Part 2. Now look at Part 2. You will hear the founder of a new community project called a Library of Things giving a talk. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Hi everyone, and thanks for coming. My name is David, and I'm the founder of our town's new Library of Things. I'm here tonight to explain what we're all about. So what is a Library of Things? Well, think about all the items in your home that you only use once or twice a year. A power drill, a big soup pot, a tent. Our project is based on a simple idea. Instead of everyone buying and storing these things individually, why not borrow them when you need them? Our primary aim is to help people save money and, just as importantly, to reduce waste by promoting a culture of borrowing over buying. The project is a nonprofit, and we rely on donations and grants to keep us going. We were very lucky to secure a large startup grant from the local council, which allowed us to rent this space and buy our initial stock. To borrow items, you need to become a member. We have 2 tiers of membership. Standard membership is free and allows you to borrow up to 2 items at a time. Or you can become a gold member for a small annual fee. This doesn't change how many items you can borrow, but it does give you the very useful option to reserve items in advance online, which is great for popular things. And what can you borrow? Well, lots. Our most borrowed item is currently our pressure washer. Everyone seems to want to clean their patio in the spring, but let me give you a quick tour of our main sections. The area on your left is our DIY zone. This is where you'll find things like power drills, electric sanders, and wallpaper strippers. Over on the right is our kitchen zone, which has items people don't use every day, like bread makers, ice cream makers, and pasta makers. At the back of the room is our party zone. Here you can borrow things like a projector screen, large speakers, and even a disco ball to make your event special. Next to that is the outdoor zone, which has all our camping gear, including tents, sleeping bags, and camping stoves. In the corner here, we have the hobby zone, where you'll find things like sewing machines and musical instruments for people to try out. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, this table here is our repair station. It's not for borrowing, but it's where our skilled volunteers can give you advice and help you fix your own broken items. It's all about sharing skills and resources. So please, have a look around, become a member, and start borrowing.
Part 3. Now look at Part 3. You will hear 2 urban studies students, Oscar and Sophie, discussing their presentation on, quote, playable cities with their tutor, Dr. Albright. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Okay, Oscar, Sophie, your presentation plan on the playable city concept, an interesting topic. What was your initial experience researching it?
It was difficult at first. Our biggest challenge was agreeing on a clear definition of the topic. It's a very new and fluid concept, so there isn't one single accepted meaning.
That's a good point to make in your talk. So let's look at your plan. Your introduction. It's a little vague. You need to clearly state what your presentation is going to argue. The main argument needs to be defined right at the start.
A clearer thesis. Okay. Then we have a section on the historical context, looking at playground design through the 20th century.
This is a big area. You've tried to cover 100 years in one slide. The scope of this section is too wide. You need to narrow it down.
We'll narrow it down. For our case study on the city of Bristol, we've described some of their projects, like the musical swings and the street-level trampolines.
Yes, but your description is just that, a description. The analysis is not deep enough. You need to evaluate how successful these projects were. Did they achieve their aims?
More evaluation. Okay. Then we have our survey data on public attitudes, which we got from a newspaper article.
Be careful there. A newspaper survey isn't a rigorous academic study. The proposed data source is potentially biased. You need to acknowledge that.
We will. And for our conclusion, we've just summarized the points.
The conclusion needs to be more forward-looking. What are the future possibilities for playable cities? What are the challenges? End with a strong, thought-provoking idea.
Okay. Sophie, what did you find most surprising in the research? For me, it was the positive attitude of older residents to these projects. I expected them to see them as childish, but the research shows they really value the sense of fun and community they bring to the city.
A very useful insight. Now, to improve your case study, you need to go beyond just description. I suggest you try to include the perspective of city planners. What were their goals? What challenges did they face? That will add the analytical depth it's missing.
The planner's perspective. That's a great idea. And for the historical context section, how can we narrow it down? Maybe we should focus on a shorter time period, perhaps just looking at playground design since the 1980s. That would be more manageable.
A sensible approach. So what's the very next thing on your to-do list?
I think we need to go back and refine our main research question based on your feedback. We need to be absolutely clear what we are trying to argue before we go any further.
Exactly. A focused question is the key to a focused presentation. Start there.
Part 4. Now look at Part 4. You will hear a lecture on the topic of animal migration. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good morning. Today's lecture is on one of the most remarkable phenomena in the natural world, animal migration. So, what do we mean by migration? It can be defined as the regular, seasonal movement of a species from one region or climate to another, and back again. This isn't just a random wandering, it's a purposeful, cyclical journey. The primary reason animals migrate is as a survival strategy. It's a way to exploit different resources that are not available in the same place year-round, or to escape harsh environmental conditions, such as extreme cold or drought. The triggers for migration are complex, but two of the most common are changes in day length and temperature. These environmental shifts signal to the animal that it's time to begin its journey. But how do they find their way over vast distances? Animals use an incredible variety of navigational cues. Some use the position of the sun and stars. Others use their sense of smell to follow familiar scents. And perhaps most remarkably, some species, particularly birds and sea turtles, have an internal compass that allows them to sense the Earth's magnetic field and use it for orientation. The scales of these journeys are astounding. The Arctic tern, a seabird, holds the record for the longest known migration. It travels from its breeding grounds in the Arctic, all the way to the Antarctic, and back again each year, a round trip of some 70,000 kilometers. Of course, such epic journeys are fraught with danger. Migration is a high-risk strategy, with a very high mortality rate. Animals face exhaustion, starvation, predation, and extreme weather. However, the potential rewards of reaching a new food source or a safe breeding ground must outweigh these risks, or the behavior would not have evolved. In the modern era, migratory species face a host of new human-made threats. The single greatest threat is habitat loss at their breeding grounds, their wintering grounds, and the crucial stopover sites in between. Without these places to rest and refuel, the entire journey can fail. Another major problem is artificial light pollution, which can seriously disorient animals that migrate at night, causing them to fly off course or into buildings. Because these animals cross multiple national borders, Protecting them presents a unique challenge. Effective conservation requires international cooperation between governments to protect the habitats along the entire migratory route. It's a complex problem that reminds us just how interconnected our planet truly is.
And pencils down. You've survived another IELTS listening marathon. If your brain feels like it just ran a mental obstacle course, congratulations. That means you're doing it right. Want to torture yourself with more tests? We mean enhance your skills? Head to Spinta.org. That's Spinta.org, where we've got reading, writing, speaking practice, and vocabulary games that are actually fun. Yes, fun and IELTS in the same sentence. We're rebels like that. Thanks for listening with Spinta. Now go treat yourself to something nice. You've earned it. Spinta, push forward. Achieve more.